Hey moms, welcome to another episode of the Life Unboxed blog show where we talk about all things momtrepreneur. So this is a special series that we are working on called How to Create a Website for Beginners, and this is part 6, creating content and designing the Divi modules. So the idea behind the series is to learn how to create websites, but also to be able to do it between nap time. So to create your website around the margins of your life. So I am Jodie the mom from lifeunboxed.blog, and if you are new to the channel, welcome, and I hope you will like the video, subscribe to the channel, and remember there's a podcast and a blog. And so for more great momtrepreneur content, visit lifeunboxed.blog. So let's get into this. So I'm going to show you what we are going to create today. So we've already made our menu and header. We've done the main image module here. So now we are going to start working on some of our featured content. So because this is for a wedding photography website, we're going to make sure we have this module for albums, and when our users land on the page, they will be able to click this and get taken to our albums page. The next, we're going to have our blog. And the same thing, the user will be able to click on it and they will be linked to the blog. And finally, our last module that we're adding is going to be packages. So we're still working on the homepage. So as you see, there's nothing here but our footer. In addition to kind of these featured content modules, we're also going to add some reviews, a section for reviews, and then we're going to add an about section for our photographer. And then once that's done, the homepage will be complete, except for one more thing. We need to optimize for mobile devices. So once we've completed that, I would really like to hear from you if you would like to continue to build out the rest of the website, or if you feel like you've got a good grasp of how to design with the Divi theme and you are ready to take this on yourself. So let me know in the comments below if you want to see the rest of this website built out. Okay, so let's get into what we're going to build. So let's get to our homepage. All right, so we're in our website. So let's go to pages, home, edit with Divi. Great, now you can see that we are on our homepage, and I'm going to go ahead and add a new section. And we're going to add the 1/4, 3/4. Okay, so now that we have our row in place, and I just want you to see where it is, let's go ahead and add our image module. Okay, and we're actually going to add the image to the background because we're going to place a gradient on top of the image, and so this is where we can do it. So there's our image, and let's save it. As you can see, it's not showing up. So let's give it, well, let's trash this. That's why it's not showing up. So, but let's give it some spacing as well. So we want to do a VW for top and bottom. So, and don't worry, we're going to fix all of this. The title name of the image, once we save it, it doesn't show up. Okay, so let's just save this now so that you can see what it looks like. So this is what we've done. Definitely does not look like what we are going to create. So let's go ahead and come back in here. And let's add our gradient. So let's add the gradient. So we're going to add the cream color to both. Okay, so we've selected the cream color, but we don't want just a solid color. We want this first color to be somewhat transparent. So about right there. Okay. And we're not seeing the gradient. Let's click off that so we can see how it looks, because we need to place gradient above the background image. So we need to turn that on. So there's our gradient. But we want to shift it because we want the gradient to actually come off the picture into the background color we're going to put here. So let's shift that right now. So we're going to come to our gradient direction and we're going to change it to 90 degrees. So you can see the gradient shifting. There's our 90 degrees. And we want the start position to be at 50%. It definitely has a softer touch over the image now, and it's going to look great as it blends into our other color, the other color block that we're going to have there. So let's go ahead and save that for now. So before we start adding the rest of our design for the row, let's go ahead and make some spacing change and sizing changes to our row here. So we're going into row settings, design, and let's go into sizing. So we want to use custom gutter width. Now this is the space between the two modules. So we want to bring that down to 1 because we don't want any space between the two. Go ahead and equalize column heights, and then let's change the width here to 90%. Okay, and we want our max width to change to 100%. There, looking so much better. So the row alignment will keep the same. Everything else we will keep the same here. So let's go ahead and save it. So that is looking great. So there's one more thing we want to do. And we want to come into spacing. And on the margin, we want to do 20 pixels left. There. And you can see it just pushed it a little bit further over, but it still gives it some white space, which is what we want right now. So let's save that again. Looking great. So now for our second column, we want to turn this into a text module. So let's select that. Okay, and we'll just save it so that you can see what it looks like. So as you can see, it needs some work. So let's go ahead and work on it. So first, let's add our background color. So we want to come into our row settings and we want to select the second column, background, and add our color. So there's our cream color. Looking great. So you see how the gradient off the picture just kind of blends into the column. So that's exactly what we want it to look like. Now let's see some spacing that we want to add. So here, let's go to our design tab, spacing, and let's put some padding in. So we want to put 20 pixels at the top. So just a little bit of spacing between the text module and the top. So it gives it some breathing room. And the reason we're not using VW here is because 20 pixels is such a small number that it shouldn't affect any mobile optimization. So, but we'll see how it looks once we get to optimizing things for mobile. But usually when you have a small number like 20 pixels, it doesn't have a whole lot of effect on the optimization design. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that. Okay, so now we're going to add our title albums. And if you remember from doing this with the footer, we're going to do it just like this. So let's go ahead and add that. Okay, and we will call this, make it a heading. We'll call it heading 1. And let's get into the design. So heading, make sure you're on your heading 1 text. Very important, or you will be frustrated wondering why it's not changing. I may have done that a few times before. So, anyway, let's go ahead and this is the font we want, so we will leave the font as is. Let's go ahead and change the color. So, our color is the tan color, but it is transparent. Let's bring that down. About there is good. Let's definitely change the text size. And this one we want to change to VW because it's so large. We want it to adjust automatically when on different size screens. So let's go ahead and deal with some of the spacing and sizing and all that fun stuff. So let's go back over here and let's center it. There we go. And next, let's deal with the spacing. Okay, so let's go to spacing. And we want the margin to be negative 5%. Okay. And we want the left and right padding to be 5% as well. So let's hit 5% and go like that. Okay, let's save it and see what it looks like. Okay, not bad, looking good. So the next thing we're going to add is an image module. So let's come here, select image. And we're going to select another divider that if you remember from when we built the footer, we had downloaded a sheet of 4 vector graphics like this and recolored them. And so now we're going to use a different one. But again, this thing is huge, so we need to work on that. So let's go into our image, just go into our design and sizing. So we want the width to come down. So let's make that 18%. Okay, that's good. And let's align it center. Now we need to push it up because we want it to sit right in here. So let's go to spacing. And we want our top margin to be -3%. And it needs to come up a little bit more than that. Yeah, let's see. So just keep shifting it until it's where you want it. Yep, and I think that is just perfect. It's exactly where I want it. And let's show space below image. Let's take that off because we don't want any spaces underneath our image. Okay, so we have our divider up. We have our title. So let's save that. And let's add another module. And this is going to be another text box. So what we are going to have in here is featured weddings. Let's type that in. Once again, we definitely need a whole lot more design to that. Okay, so now that we have our featured weddings, it's centered, let's go to design. So in our heading text, make sure you are in H2. And we want to make this larger. So we want this to be 3 VW. And we definitely need to deal with the spacing there. So let's work on that right now. So let's go down to spacing. And let's make the top margin -3%. And I'm trying to decide if I want to go higher. I think I like it there. So make it 4%. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. And so we want to add one more text module. Okay, and we're not going to add content yet. We'll just leave the dummy text, but let's go ahead and design how we want it to look. So we need some spacing up in here. So let's go to spacing. So we want padding. We want that to be 3% up at the top. And on the left and right, we want it 12% left and right. And this should not have come down here with it. So let's see what we need to do about that. Okay, so let's go into the wireframe view and see if we can troubleshoot why our heart moved. And so this is where we're at. So this is our left image. And you can see that the image module was shifted when we added all these other text modules. So let's go ahead and put it right back where it needs to go. Let's take a look to see what that looks like. Perfect. So I'm not liking where that is now. So let's adjust that spacing. Let's go back down to, whoops, wrong way. 3%. There, much better. Okay, so that is looking good. That is exactly how we want it to be looking right now. So I am going to show you it's not a cheat, but what we want to do next, because we're basically going to have the same setup for each module. The next two modules, we're just going to duplicate this. And you would see this one. So you have settings, and then you have this here. And we are just going to duplicate the row. So let's do that twice. 1, 2. Beautiful. So we are going to move this middle row here. So we're going to shift the image over and change some of the spacing just a little bit, but not too much. So we're going to leave that where it is, and let's just style this row right now because that's going to be the easiest. This is not moving. We're just changing the image and the text. So let's do that real quick. So let's change the image. Remember, we put it in the background right here. So let's trash that and let's add a new one. And we're going to add these rings here. Perfect. And let's change our text. Now, sometimes when you have stuff so close together, it's easier to go to the wireframe and start changing your text here. So this is our packages. So let's save that. So this is our title, Let's Plan Your Big Day. Okay, and save that. And this is just the dummy text that we were leaving. So let's go back to our view. So, see? Looking good. So this module is done. So now we just need to flip this one around. And the easiest way to do that is to go back to your wireframe. And we're going to restructure the column. So this is the one that's currently selected. So we just want to select the opposite. And let's move our text, image, text, text, and this is our other image, and we're going to put that right there. So we have, let's go back to desktop. So we have just changed this, but as you can see, it's looking a little rough. So it definitely needs some more design. But before we do that, let's go back to our wireframe, and we're going to change the text real quick. This is our blog section. So, and this is ideas for your big day, or ideas for your day. And then the dummy text we're just going to leave. So now that we've done that, and I changed the wrong one. So Okay, well, this is a good time to show you. Let's go back to our editing history. So edit text, edit text. Here we go. So we need to, let me see. Okay, so that's not, this is all our movement. And did I go too far? Let's see. Okay, that's where we changed it. So let's just go back to here. Most of it's changed. So this is a way to undo, which is always good to know. And let's just fix this one right here real quick. So that should be albums. Save. So this was a spot that we should have been changing and we were just in the wrong wireframe. So let's do that again. Okay, so this is what we had changed. This is what we need to change. And that happens sometimes. So don't panic if it does happen. Just go back and see how far you can go back and you can fix it. Ideas for your day. All right, let's save all that. Okay, so albums, featured weddings, ideas for your day. Okay, so we just need to finish designing this middle module. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing we want to do is let's go into our row settings and we're going to shift the columns over. So let's go into our sizing. So this is all going to stay the same. We're just going to move it just like that. Okay. So before we get into spacing and all that anymore, we need to delete this color in the back. So let's go into our column settings, second column, and there's our color. So this color that you're seeing behind the picture is this color right here when we duplicated the row. So we need to delete that. Okay, let's save. And let's go ahead and change the picture. Okay, but we need to also flip our gradient around. So let's go ahead and do that. And what you want, you're just going to basically, you're going to switch the colors, the positions. So that's going back to solid. This one is going transparent. And probably make it just, yeah, we're going to play around with that a little bit. We're going to try the start position for the gradient, not 50%. So we want to see some of those shoes. So let's see. Let's take it down. Let's take it down to 7%. I like that. I want to see the shoes there. All right. So let's save it. Okay. So let's go ahead and go back to the column because I want to get that spacing done right there. And let's go into spacing and let's reset that. And we're going to put the 20 pixels here in the margin. There we go. So you can see how it moved. And then I also want to give it some breathing room on top here. So this we're going to call 2VW. Save it. Great. So now we have some space, but we still need to add the background color in here. All right, so let's go back into our row settings. And we want that first column, background color, and let's add it. Okay, and as you can see, the columns are not even here. So let's go in to our second column and into spacing there and delete that 20 pixels. There we go. Perfect. So that is exactly what we're looking for. So let's check the space All right, so let's see, this space here is a little close to this other one. So let's give it some breathing room as well. And let's give the top margin a 1 VW and see what that looks like. Because we don't need a huge amount of space, we just need a little bit. And that is perfect. So one other thing, if you want to get fancy here, you can add like a box shadow on hover. And let's just do that real quick. So let's go into our second column here. So when you add the link to the page, you probably want to add it to the column, the entire column, if you're not going to add a button, which I'm not planning on adding a button. So I would put the page link here and people can just click on this whole section and it will take them to the page they're supposed to land on, or whatever link you're using. So on hover, so let's go to box shadow, and you would select the box shadow, something like that, because we're not on hover yet. So you would change everything to 0. Okay, shadow spread, let's make that 0 as well. Okay, then you would come back up here and you would select hover. Select hover, so now you know you're on hover, and you would start adding where you want it. So don't worry, we're going to fix it. All right, so let's keep it, let's just do 9 for now. You would come down here, make sure you're on hover. So blur strength, yeah. I like that. Okay, let's do select hover. So you're on hover. Shadow spread, I think it was 6. Yeah, I think that looks good. So, and then let's change the color. All right, that might be a little dark for what we want. So let's just click here and let's just make it a little more transparent. So it's a little subtle. There we go. And we forgot to switch it to hover. So let's go back. We went to 0. Select hover. You're on hover. There we go. Let's bring it down. That works. And so everything else we can leave as is. So there, it went back to normal. But when they hover, it will pop up with the box shadow behind it. Okay, so let's go ahead and save the page. Let's exit the visual builder and take a look. Looks good. And you can see the hover effect because we're hovering on it. We can't click on it because there's no URL link, but you can see how when you hover on it, it tells people that they need to take a certain action. So you can add that feature or you can keep it off. It's totally up to you. I kind of like it because it indicates that people need to do something. So that looks good. And obviously we didn't add it to these modules because we added them after we had duplicated them. So you can just go through and copy the styles and add it to here as well. So that is a wrap for part 6, and we have done a lot. So I am so glad you joined me today, and we have a few more parts coming. Remember, let me know if you want to continue building the rest of the website. So be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Remember to check out the Life Unboxed store for all of your Mom Boss merch. And for more great momtrepreneur content, follow Life Unboxed on social media. Check out the lifeunboxed.blog or download the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And be sure to share this with your friends. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.